I would like to thank several people today. First, I would like to thank Steve Unger and Ofcom for the organization of the Stakeholder Forum, but also team from Arcep and of course the BEREC office that is supporting us to organize this. Thank you to all the stakeholders. You are here. And so we can have these very important debates because as Johannes Gungel said in the introduction, as regulators, we cannot be smart without you. So the fact that stakeholders are engaged in these discussions is really a key issue. I will be quite short in my keynote. I remember 1 year ago, I had a discussion with Willem Eschweiler, who was chairman of the BEREC last year, and he told me, you know, Sebastien, when you come at October, November, sometimes it's a little bit tiring. And to be honest, I would say that it's a funny job, but there is something quite surprising. It's about alternative facts. You know alternative facts. We have alternative facts in Washington. And actually what I discovered is that we also have alternative facts in Brussels. And I would like today to mention you specifically two alternative facts. The first alternative fact, which is actually not only an alternative fact, which is a fake news. And maybe we can display it, if it works. There is no slideshow. Yes. So, first fake news I wanted to mention today, and this has been discussed in the first roundtable, so I will not go back to this in details, is this story about deregulation is good for investments. You know, when you look at fake news, there is always a little part of truth. And here I think there is a little part of truth. Because it's true that deregulation will lead to high investment for households to pay their telecom bills. And that deregulation would lead to huge investments of company in lawyer bills. Because regulation is bringing previsibility and is giving light in the darkness to give the right investment signals. And as I mentioned in another conference, when it goes to turbulent times, I don't advise to switch off the lighthouse. So this is the first fake news I wanted to mention today. And it's not a question of opinion, because sometimes we have this debate. People think that regulation is good. People think that deregulation is good. I think that here we are talking about facts. We had these very interesting figures from Iliad, from Nosh in the first roundtable, but look at Tele2, look at Stockab, look at Vodafone, look at Hutchison, look at Fastweb, and all the alternative operators over Europe. You will see their investments. The second fake news I wanted to mention today is about us, regulators. Because this stakeholder forum is also an opportunity to discuss a little bit about ourselves and to be open to criticism. And here today I would like not only to ask for criticism, but also to ask stakeholders to refresh how they look at regulators. So maybe we could see the second fake news. Look, the second fake news is regulators are conservative-minded. Sometimes, if you hear several people, regulators are terrible. You know, we are bureaucratic people. We are only focusing in competition and low prices. But what I've been discovering this year, with discussing with my colleagues over Europe, with traveling to their national conferences, is that we are changing. We are so changing, I mean. all regulators almost are now really focused on the question of the investment and the question of connectivity. And what I see across Europe is regulators that are fully open to new social demand, open to the political priorities, and not only focused to what was the priorities 20 years ago. And this is important because 20 years ago, the regulation in the telecom market was very much dedicated in opening the market for competition. So it was a regulation really focused on the telecom itself. And now, my personal belief is that we have to think telecom regulation as a piece of the broader digital story. So maybe if we can look at the next slide. This is what I've tried to do this year in BEREC. Of course, it is an ongoing process. Of course, I rely on what have been done previous years, and I'm sure that regarding the presentation by Johannes Gungel this morning, you can see that this is an ongoing process, and it's really not the end of the story. So first of all, what I've been trying to do is to really put the focus on our role on connectivity. We are connectivity enablers. And this is especially what we have trying to show this year on the mobile sector. With these important works that we have been doing on how to cover challenge areas with mobile network, how to monitor altogether mobile coverage over Europe. The second subject I wanted to focus on this year was about safeguarding an open environment. Because when you look at the telecom sector as a part of the whole digital landscape, it is clear that telecom is the open networks that allow other innovations. So it's very much about net neutrality. You know that we have delivered these very important guidelines last year under Willem's chairmanship. We are always open to discussion with the stakeholders, and we had a meeting last week with Johannes Gungel and the GSMA, especially to discuss about this articulation between net neutrality and 5G and the network slicing story. We are in a process now to have a common tool at BEREC level about how to monitor the quality of service of the internet. And we are also cooperating with other international bodies. Johannes Gungel mentioned cooperation with FCC, which is obviously something important, especially when it will deal with 5G. But regarding net neutrality, let's say, there are other interesting experiences. And this is a polite way to say it. Especially, we have organized this year our study trip of BEREC to India. And it was a really, really impressive country about telecom. And the work done by the regulator regarding net neutrality is very much inspiring. We also had our meeting with other regional bodies of regulators this year in Cascais, with Regulatel from South America, emerg from emerging country, and the Eastern Partnership. And we had a common declaration in Cascais about the importance of net neutrality. This open environment, you know, should not be limited to only telecom networks. Let's open it a little bit, the focus. And so that is why we have decided this year to work not only on telecom, but also to look at the influence of contents and devices over the telecom market. And in the midterm strategy, in the 3 next years, one of the strategic priority will deal with new bottlenecks, potential bottlenecks in the digital environment. Last, what I try to show also is that we regulators are using new tools And I think this is something of tremendous importance, because if we regulators want you, stakeholders, to look at us with fresh eyes, we have to show you that we are open to new way of regulating. And you know that personally, I'm very attached to this idea of regulating with data. This is the name we gave to this initiative in France, but obviously this is something that almost all regulators are doing every day, using data, developing crowdsourcing tools, monitoring tools, publishing information, empowering end user with data. So this is not absolutely specific to Arcep. And to be honest, I think that Arcep was a little bit lagging behind most of its colleagues. So we tried this year to change a little bit BEREC from within. It is once again an ongoing process. Hope that the idea that the regulators are bureaucratic people with conservative minding will be definitely a fake news. Thank you very much for your attention.